A new era in European rugby competition here, live from Amersfoort, Utrecht. It is the Rugby Europe Super Cup. Thank you so much for joining us here for one of two matches to be played today, alongside Ali Engelhart's Tom Eschen here with you on the call for this Western Conference match. Ali, between the Delta Rugby Club out of Netherlands and the Brussels Devils out of Belgium. A beautiful day for rugby and a beautiful day to start off this new competition.
Absolutely, Tom. It's fantastic to see the growth of a new professional league in Europe, giving these young players the opportunity to make their mark, progress, and develop the countries around the competition. Super excited to see what these teams bring today. We know that there's energy. We know that there's excitement. It's going to be fantastic to watch what happens out on the field.
The Western Conference of this Super Cup composed of Belgium, Netherlands, Portugal, and Spain. The Eastern Conference teams hailing from Israel, two from Russia, and Georgia as well, the Black Lion. Today you'll get a feature of Western Conference foes battling it out, starting off here with Delta Rugby Club and the Brussels Devils, and then later on in a couple hours from now, our second match of the day features the Lusitanos from Portugal and the Castilla y León Iberians from Spain. So that should also be an exciting one. This match here to begin with today between this Delta Rugby Club and Brussels Devils, sort of, there's a little bit of, I want to say, bad blood between these two, Ali. These two countries just met a couple months ago, last May, for an opportunity to go to the Rugby Europe Championship competition. That's outside of the parameters of this one, but still some similar names, some similar countries, and that, of course, won by Netherlands back in May. So maybe some memories on both sides from that.
Absolutely. It was exciting to see the Netherlands defeat Belgium. I believe they advanced to the Rugby World Cup qualifiers. They take their next step. And it's great to see those players, again, coming together, having an additional opportunity to get better, to get improved, to work with one another, and compete at the highest level in Europe.
Yes, this is going to be a top European competition intended for these countries who are not only looking to develop young players, but to develop themselves as rugby playing countries and help grow the sport where they are, at this very moment, which I think is a really cool thing. And around the world, I mean, in terms of looking at what they're doing here in Europe and trying to make sure that there's more people and there's more eyeballs watching rugby, Ali.
Exactly. This competition is one of many across the world that is raising the profile of rugby internationally, bringing that excitement. You see it on the screen now. The youth are into it. The kids are playing. The excitement is there. And we're seeing that professional leagues popping up around the world, just bringing the level of rugby up, making sure that everybody's aware and excited about what's going to happen on the field.
Yeah, this is definitely an event I think that a lot of people are looking forward to over the course of the next few months. The next couple rounds will take place here in September, and then the rounds 3 and 4 in October. We'll take a little bit of break in November. December will be the final 5th and 6th rounds of this competition, and then whoever will be in the top 2 of each conference, the Western and the Eastern Conference, will make their way into the semifinals in April, the final scheduled for May 8th in 2022. So these countries, these teams from all these different sides will be battling it out over these next few weeks for an opportunity. And I think, and you know this well, Ali, an opportunity to get some silverware, any opportunity to get a trophy. I think that's motivation enough, aside from what we're talking about as well.
Spot on. And, with the international part of this competition, they're competing against players that they know well, that they have a mark to make. And we're going to see a lot of that energy, a lot of that, desire to come out today.
They, of course, have hope for growth of this competition. As we know, it's brand new here. And I think that's the cool thing about it. We get to sort of see this from the beginning as you now take a look at some of the matchups in round 1. And they say eventually maybe the Rugby Europe president and their CEO as well have mentioned that it could accommodate up to 16 teams in the future and expand. They still be working in cycles of 2 years or so to try to and figure out what is the best way to do this. But so far, we're looking forward to, of course, these matches today, 2 today, 1 tomorrow, and then another round 1 match will be later on in October. That will be the Black Lion and Tel Aviv Heat. Tomorrow we'll have the two Russian sides go at it, so that should be a fun one as well. They also played domestically last week, so that should be also a very intriguing matchup tomorrow. But of course, we've got business to attend to here today with this Rugby Netherlands team. The Dutch competing, and you see some little kids out there. They're waving their flag, that they're excited and they're ready to go. And a lot of these players, the younger ones of this Rugby Netherlands side, basically under 24 years old, and that's not really a parameter, but a guideline set of really trying to develop some young players, give them an opportunity here on a big stage to compete.
That's fantastic to see the young players getting a chance. That's balanced with their experience they have. Hooker, Benny Colson, and scrum half, Radelmaker. I think both of those are going to lend their experience, their age. They're bringing that level down when the excitement's too high, making sure they're playing in the right parts of the field and guiding the team around the park.
As we see now, the players making their way, walking on to the pitch for the first time in this competition, the Rugby Europe Super Cup. Just beginning here in September of 2021. So great to have this competition after, of course, we didn't have competition for so long. And we saw these two countries come out back in May and battle, and they got off to a hot start, in that match in May. And I'm imagining here just as much adrenaline, Ollie. Take me into the minds of these athletes.
Absolutely. We know that the Delta coach, Allard Jonkers, he wants to see innovation. He wants it to be exciting. He wants to push the pace of this game. It's going to be for the first chance, the first match in the Super Cup competition. We know that these players are going to be ready for it. They're going to come out firing. They're going to look to make a mark early on in the match. And I think we're going to see that game settle into it. It's important to know who's going to get the first points on the board. Let's get those early points on. Let's settle into the match. Let's play a game plan that's they're ready to see. Coming out onto the field for the first time, those energies are going to be high.
You got goosebumps, Ollie? Are you ready to go?
Absolutely. I've been in their shoes, and I know what it feels like. Earning that first cap in a new competition, it's an exciting moment. Couldn't be happier to see these players out there today.
While you're lining up, in a formation like this, what are you thinking? Is it you're thinking of tactics? Are you thinking of visualization? Well, what is going through the mind of these athletes?
Different coaches will have the different words before the match. For myself, I always think about my role. You break it down little by little. You think of the next job that you have to do. You can think of that kickoff. You catch the ball, you make that pass. You hit that first tackle, you know exactly what you need to do step by step. You break it down into some manageable bits, and it makes that game a little bit more easy to digest. It's trying to control your emotions here. You know that you have a role to do, a job to do. Let's get out on that field. Let's execute to the best of our abilities, and that's what they're going to be thinking about.
Yeah, you hear so often with athletes, that first hit, that first touch, so important, and just getting a good vibe that really sets the tone for the rest of what will happen for the rest of the match. As we see our first look at this Brussels Devils starting 15, and anyone stick out here for you, Ollie, that we should be watching for today? I look at Ryan Godsmark, the scrum half. He certainly is one of those players.
I think the second row, number 5, Hendricks, he's a young gun, but I think he's looking to make a mark. It's a dream of his to be making his debut for the Devils in February. I think he's been balancing something. I'm ready to see him make a mark on this game today. I think all these players are excited to have an opportunity, and I'm ready to watch them have a go.
A look at the 15 for Delta, headed by Allard Jonkers, as you mentioned, and then you look no further than the number 1 loosehead prop, Hugo Langelan, the 31-year-old. White Rhino is his nickname. You got a nickname like that, he's going to factor in today.
The battering ram himself. I'm ready to see him make an impact. We're going to get a taste of it right here in a few seconds.
And Team Delta prepares for the opening kick as we get our final look at some of the substitutes briefly. Our referee today is Inigo Torresagasti. He'll be working with the players on the pitch as the match wages on, as the tension is rising here in Amersfoort, Utrecht. 74 degrees, cloudy skies, perfect weather for a rugby match this afternoon. And the Rugby Europe Super Cup has begun. The opening kick by the Delta Rugby Club, fielded by the Brussels Devils, wearing their white kits with the black stripes. Rugby Netherlands, the Dutch, Delta wearing the red maroonish kits here today with the black shorts, both akin with the black shorts so far.
Great. We saw an early exit under pressure from the Devils. They made that kick off the receive, off the kickoff. Here we have the Delta making their way down the field, putting the pressure back on the Devils in their 22, executing well, putting that pressure on.
And you look back in May, and obviously a lot of that was adrenaline, as you might imagine, for both these teams getting out there after about a year and a half. You know, there's different players in the mix here today, but at the same time, it was a wide sort of open start, especially. We'll see if that starts the same way here today, or if they let the legs rest a bit before, of course, getting into the second half.
A great kick from the penalty. The Devils get the line out just outside the 10-meter line of the Delta.
On me, boys. On me. Let's get up.
Brussels advancing into Delta territory here with that kick into touch. The line out taken, as Ali mentioned, by the Brussels Devils. Able to gather briefly, though it is turned over and into the hands of Delta.
We see those handling errors there. You know, that might just be the nerves happening. Off the line out, we had the scrum half losing the ball forward, and then just there, out the wide. I think the excitement is rising. We can see that here, so it's just going to see how it settles down in the next few minutes.
Another whistle, just about 2 minutes into the action here. The first match of the Rugby Europe Super Cup. Like I said, they'll have 6 rounds to compete and try and make their way into the semifinals. This is Godsmark, the scrum half here, 29 years old, 5'10", 198. Also a sevens player for Team Belgium, and he will feed it in for this ensuing scrum. Our first of the match here today. What to look for here, Ali?
Yeah, you know, front row definitely have a big job to do today. We're going to see who makes their mark here as they make this engage.
There is the engagement and kicked along the side. And you see the push by Delta.
Fantastic shove by the Delta. You know, Brussels did a good job to keep hold of that ball. Even though that pass looked forward, I think they were playing play on here.
Stop here. Thank you.
And Brussels looks to advance with the kick into Delta territory inside their own 22. That does, I believe, go into touch.
Absolutely. And this is the first example of the new World Rugby law trials that we've seen around the world recently. If the new laws state that if you kick that ball out from within your 50 and it goes out inside the opponent's 22, you receive that throw-in. We've got that excellent example here, well-placed kick, putting that pressure back on the Delta.
How many? 6.
The 50-22 law. It's an exciting new addition, and we're seeing teams utilize that. It holds that defender deep into the pocket. It creates that extra opportunity up front. You know, the 15 has to make sure they cover that space or leave that space behind. And we've seen teams exploit that, just like they did here.
Brussels does win the line out, and here's the ruck. That line continuing to plow their way through. Deeper and deeper they go. The Devils looking for that try line. And the Devils pop out with it, able to just get it in front. They are on the doorstep.
A very timely poach there at the try line from the Delta. A fantastic, important play under pressure, making sure they get over that ball and steal that in the nick of time before they're able to get over that line.
You can see coming out of the ruck, Brussels trying to find some space, trying to time things up perfectly, but you saw that Delta, the backs there swarming and the forwards as well, making sure the Brussels Devils couldn't advance any further while deep inside their own 22.
This is another huge emphasis that World Rugby and the referees have been putting on in the recent game. You know, that tackler has to make their way out of that breakdown as quickly as possible. You saw there they took that extra second to get up and roll out of that ruck. The Delta, as soon as the Delta players arrive, the supporting players arrive over that ruck, the Brussels players are expected to be rolled away and clearing, making that ball accessible for that fast game of that fast style of play the Delta seem to want to play.
Yes, these laws, as you mentioned, Ali, of course, the sport in itself curtailed to the flow and safety of the sport and making sure things are moving along, but doing it in a safe manner as well.
Absolutely. Safety is paramount to all the refereeing here in the game of rugby. We're making sure that the players are taken care of first and foremost. But like you said, this team wants to play fast. This team wants to have that momentum. And we see it here. The referee is the adjudicator, is going to make sure that they have the opportunity to play with that rhythm that teams want to build.
Hugo de Franck there with the kick ahead, and he chased it down. And now here we are. Just a few moments ago, we were deep in Delta territory. Delta's flipped the field, and now they are inside the 22 of the Brussels Devils. A nice job there for de Franck, part of Team France as their U18 squad as well. He's played with them, and 6'2", 205 for the fullback, wearing number 15. Here's a push from Delta. It does get out to the outside. This is Ian Dumez. Once again, tackled down, Frederic Desmet. Delta on the doorstep. Jim Bulrick. Maxel Zerdune.
We saw here, as soon as the tackle is made, the Belgian players have to release that. So as soon as the knee touches the ground, the tackling player has to release the player who has the ball. In that case, he tries to rip and strip that ball out of the hands, making it go forward. As soon as the knee's down, that tackle has been completed. It's got to release.
So this is Amir Rodmacher right now carrying the rugby ball around. Excuse me, earlier that was Tay Campbell, the one who was able to get it deep into the Devils' territory. And then there is Longalan, living up to his name as the White Rhino. We saw Delta with a push a few moments ago off the scrum. Let's see if they can get one inside the 22 of the Devils. At more of a stalemate, but it does get to the outside, and for the try, Delta strikes first. Believe that was Amir Rodmacher, 5 points on the board.
A fantastic, simple play off the base of the scrum, 5 meters out from the try line. You know, number 15, Campbell, just holding that defender, running straight, running hard, making sure that defender commits to him before just moving that ball through the hands, executing with that pass in front of the player. Number 14 into the corner, not a problem at all. Well executed, simple rugby. That's what we're seeing. The Delta, that entire phase was built from that momentum they were building. They wanted to play fast. From the quick tap on their own 5 meter line from the great poach, they built that pressure. They put that momentum, they put that pressure onto the defensive wall. They shifted from side to side, hit hard, earned the penalties, that scrum penalty on the 5 meter line. You saw that pressure turns into points. Fantastically executed try, and it's simple rugby done well.
Yes, good catch there, Ali. Don van der Voorde getting in for the try, as they moved very quickly up that left side. And able to convert the try. And a brief moment of water as we wait for the conversion. About 10 minutes into the match, and we see Delta strike first. After just a moments ago, they were deep in their own territory. Brussels looked like they were about to get it done, but Delta made a nice stop, and they were able to go the length of the pitch for the score. Conceding the conversion, so the score will remain 5-0.
You know, one thing we talk about in the rugby field is we don't want to compound errors. You know, the Brussels Devils, they had an opportunity here to get that ball deep into the territory, flip that pressure back onto the Delta. That missed kick, that missed opportunity to do so. Delta now have a fantastic set piece opportunity to execute a set play.
So here we'll have the scrum right there on the midline. The ball is sent in and back out. Rademacher now out to Campbell. And now Delta lurking to the right side and will kick that. And it does bounce fortuitously into the hands of Lorenzi Stad. And it's Sialau just able to get the try.
That is fantastic variation from the attacking phases of the Delta. That look behind, seeing that space, executing the chip over the top, and we call that kick sprint, coming off the line and winning back the territory inside the 22, putting that momentum on, an unstoppable and dynamic play. The versatility is fantastic to see in an exciting young team here.
Oh, here's a wonderful angle of it as well, Ali. We'll get to see the reverse side of things after that kick and the stretch by Oliva Sialau, the 27-year-old.
Ciolo had a lot of work to do there, still to beat that defender in the corner, get that ball down, but still, that kick receive, I think it was Stad receiving that kick, taking that kick over the top, putting the pressure back on, making that, going down, number 9, getting that pass away. That try was well earned from amazing variety in attacking phases.
Here is Amir Rademacher for the 2. Tough angle here, considering where they touched the try. This is where they have to kick from to try and get that extra 2. Member of Team Netherlands since 2014. He lines it up. And that was a very tough angle kick, and looked like he went just wide right there in that situation. So the score will remain 10-0 here, 13 minutes into this match, the debut of Rugby Europe Super Cup. Thank you for joining us alongside Ali Engelhart, Tom Eschen here with you on the call at Amersfoort in Utrecht, Netherlands.
Excellent pressure off the kickoff there by the Devils. They turn that pressure over. Unfortunately, holding off on the ground. And we see the Delta taking off. They want to play fast. This team is ready to go.
They have looked fast today, Ali. They seem like they've been the ones sort of chomping at the bit. The Brussels Devils, I mean, a bit not lackadaisical, but you know, the Delta Rugby Club really getting all of those 50-50 balls and really making their presence known early here.
Absolutely. We see that tempo working in their favor. The Devils seem to be a little bit slow on the reset, a little bit slow to get their their defensive line together. The Delta, on the other hand, they've exploited that space. They've looked up. They've played a dynamic game of rugby. They've got that ball wide. We've seen them make meters up the field. On the other side, they put the chip in behind. That led to a fantastic try just moments ago. We're seeing that variety be really an asset for the Devils here, for the Delta here.
Yes, and Brussels getting that scrum and see what they can do with it now. Working up that far right side, kicking it forward. Lorenzi Stad able to gather it. He gets tackled.
Referee calling off the feet by the Delta. You cannot go straight off your feet, sealing off that ball. You have to have an equal opportunity for both teams to contest at the breakdown. So you have to maintain your body weight, keeping your shoulders above your hips. Hands cannot go down to the ball and sealing that off. Just so a sloppy mistake. That pressure is now leading for an opportunity for the Devils to put that ball in the corner, execute a driving ball, and hopefully have an opportunity to score some points.
So they do go down in the corner. They'll get a line out inside the 22 of the Delta. Ian Dumez going over and giving his 2 cents, and will line up his Devils accordingly. See them draw up the play now. The lift, the throw, and out come the Devils with the rugby ball.
Ball seemed to jumble around there at the back of the line out before they were able to set them all, but somehow they got that ball back without an infringement. It looks like they've earned themselves a try, even though that maul was not able to get set. Let's have a
they were able. Yeah, it looked like it was sort of an unsettled situation there, and I think the Devils were able to just sort of fall right over the line and touch it down for the try. Looks like it'll be 10-5 here, about entering the midway point of this first half. Was a try, now the conversion. So 10-5 now the score. See if the Devils can cut this to 3 here. Hugo DeFranc. The kick is up. And it appears, it's tough to see from our angle, of course, where we are. I couldn't tell. Could you tell, Ali? It looked like I don't think he made it.
The kick was no good. The flag's behind the post. The referees behind the post there will put their flags if the kick goes through the post. Seems it just went in front. Flags are not up.
Flag stayed down. There you go. Yep.
No extras.
So just the 5 for the Devils, but they are on the board for the first time. Delta leading by a try here. Delta had a lot of the momentum early on, more energy, but then Brussels using a scrum and then finding their way in after a nice kick down the right side. Really out of that line-out situation, they were able to find themselves a score, and that was pretty big. Once again, Hugo Langalan in the middle of the action here, and he will be once again on the restart.
We're seeing both teams exploit the space behind the front defensive wall very well. The Devils just there on that lead up to their try, they put that dink in, that kick through, that put the pressure back onto the Delta here. It's really interesting that both teams utilize that space. What that's doing to the defensive line is it's making you have to question your line speed. Check that line speed, giving you the opportunity later in the match to attack that space up in front, put the pace back on, and make it really hard for the defenders to know what you're about to do. The variation, looking for that space behind the line, it's incredible to see from 2 new teams coming together.
They've only had a few opportunities to get together, but a lot of young players, and of course Allard Jonker saying he wanted to give them the freedom to sort of express themselves and be able to make some decisions on the fly, and I think you'd see that, and you see some exciting plays, you see some mistakes turn into big plays as well on both sides, and I think that's one of the more exciting parts of this format and what we're about to see here over the next few weeks and months.
The delta there, just the far side, losing their bind, coming up out of that scrum. You've got to maintain your body height. Number one there, pivoting in and losing that bind on the far left-hand side of that scrum.
Staying off the ground, the focus of a lot of laws in the sport of rugby. I know it appears a lot of times that it's played on the ground, but staying off the ground is certainly a point of emphasis in keeping that flow of the match in play. So we are halfway through this first half, a 40-minute half at that. 10-5, Delta scoring the first two tries. Brussels getting one back here a few moments ago. Here they come with the line out, and that throw was not straight enough. Has to be right down the line between the two sides, and it appeared that was a little bit towards the sides of the Brussels Devils.
Absolutely, a missed opportunity there for the Devils. They're back in the position that helped them get that try earlier on in the match. We saw just a mistake off the line out, not straight down the middle, not giving the opportunity for both teams to compete in the air.
So Delta going with a scrum off of that. And away we go. Fed in there by Radmacher. He will gather in a whistle immediately off his pitch. Looked like he was looking for Tay Campbell there before the play was stopped. Let's see this one more time, Ollie.
Looks like a little error, just a knock on off the base of the scrum there by Radmacher. Devil get the opportunity now, it seems like, to put that ball back in, earn the pressure back onto the Devils here.
Here we go. Yep, it turns right back over.
It's a fantastic opportunity here for the Devils to exploit and put the pressure back on. Let's see what they do. I think they're going to put that ball wide first phase, see if they can get some attacking momentum.
It looks like after some of those jitters, the Devils have settled in a little bit more now, midway through this first half. And quickly restarting after the whistle are the Devils.
And there again, you see that variety, hitting that kick in behind. Even in an attacking position, deep in the 22, they're looking for that space behind. They're looking to put that pressure on. It's not a bad option early in the first half here. I think we're going to see that change up a little bit as we go through the match.
Oh, you see there the whistle after the fumbled of off the kick. And once again, it'll stay here in Delta territory. A scrum for the Devils. You can see that scrum rotate, and that's exactly what the official calls. If it rotates more than 90 degrees, and they will restart once again here. See Godsmark getting ready to put it back in play. He started his career in Selkirk and then moving his way over to Edinburgh. 29 years old now, part of La Houpe, a successful program, clubs in rugby in Belgium. Tackle by Delta. Now Belgium looking to take advantage and keep things moving after that.
The Devils certainly settling into this attacking rhythm here. Not trying to do anything too much in the moment. Just earn those meters up the field. Unfortunately for them, a simple mistake and maybe an opportunity, a penalty offside.
So there's the offside on the Delta Rugby Club and the penalty.
Delta just getting a little bit too eager, creeping off the line a little early before that ball's out. You have to retreat back. You have to make sure you're onside. The Delta, great defensive pressure there. They're maintaining just a little bit too eager on that last phase, creeping up a little bit. Devils with the opportunity to take some points.
And it feels like the Devils, the first time around in which they scored their try, sort of took advantage of that aggressiveness by Delta, used it against them. That was not an offside call, but like we saw there, coming off the scrum and then the ensuing kick followed by the line out. Belgium using that against them, and now a chance for 3 here for the Devils side. Will be Hugo de Franck. There is de Franck's kick. And that is good. So 3 more points on the board for the Brussels Devils. 10-8. So after we saw Delta jump out to a 10-0 lead, 8 unanswered for the Brussels Devils. Like I said, it feels like they've taken some of that momentum back we saw Delta have early on in the match.
And absolutely, this is the pivot point for the match here. These next 10 minutes before the half, it's important to see what both teams are able to put on. If they get those points early on late in this first half, 5 minutes before the end of the first half, and 5 minutes after the start of the second, that's a crucial point. It sets the tone for the rest of the match. It makes it really difficult for the other team to come back when you have those momentum here.
And this is sort of what we expected here, Ali. We did expect a pretty tight match here after what we saw, of course, in May. And a lot of these players are young and new and obviously a brand new competition and want to come out here with a good start. 6 matches here in this group stage, and you got to imagine with 6 matches, every single one rather important. This is Ross Benny Colson, you can see, getting ready for the line out. Grabbed there by Rodmacher. Good drive by Delta as they look to build now into Brussels territory. Tay Campbell. And Campbell getting dragged along the turf there and able to get the ball out and back, and Delta will now work into the middle, maybe on that left side a bit as well, where they scored earlier.
It's great to see Delta executing down the short side here, not afraid to come back against the grain. They're holding this defensive line true. It makes sure that the Devils have to hold themselves, check both sides of the breakdown, giving the opportunity for the Delta to exploit in the future.
Going to the open side of the field now.
It seems just a few errors creeping in on both sides at the first match of the tournament. Let's see if they sort that self out. Really give themselves the opportunity. Just those little errors, those knock-ons, those forward passes that are keeping them from the kind of that excellent rugby that I think they really expect themselves right now.
They're going up the left side. Sialau, who has the try, the second try of the day for Delta earlier. Gets a nice round of applause after that effort. Flag went up. I believe it went into touch. The line out awarded to the Brussels Devils here. Approaching the 30-minute mark. Thank you for watching here. The Rugby Europe Super Cup alongside Ali Engelhardt, Tom Eschen with you on the call for game 1 of this brand new competition in European rugby, featuring the start, the Delta Rugby Club out of the Netherlands and the Brussels Devils from Rugby Belgium. First of 2 matches we have for you here today. The second one coming up in about 2 hours from now. It's the Lusitanos from Portugal taking on the Castilla y León y Berrians from Spain. So that will be the second match of this competition, in which we'll have 6 matches in the group stage over the next few months. 1 match tomorrow as well. NSI CSM will take on Lokomotiv Penza. That's in the other conference. That's the Eastern Conference, which features 2 teams from Russia, 1 from Israel, Tel Aviv, and also Georgia, the Black Lion squad. But starting things all off here with a 10-8 lead for Delta here, 31 minutes in.
Really well-read defensive effort there by the Devils, just executing that defensive pressure, coming off the line, reading that pass well and shutting it down, forcing the turnover. You can see here, they've shot up, they've read that pass behind, able to execute and put that pressure back on.
It seems like they've made the adjustments as time has gone on here, and we'll, of course, get some more adjustments coming up here in less than 10 minutes for the half, as now we have a brief injury timeout. Tim DeVries, the man down right now for Delta, as they'll talk some things over. Take another look and see exactly what happened here as we look back on the latest points. That's the 3 from Hugo de Franck. The kicking game for the Brussels Devils has seemed to be one of their strengths so far.
It really has. Both teams, they're looking for those opportunities behind the defensive line. They're not afraid to change up and mix up what they're doing, looking for that variety. It's holding the defense. It's shutting down that pressure. They can't come off because they're making sure that if they do, that space behind is opening up, and they're really exploiting it. We saw number 23 receive that kick, early on the first half that led to the try. Love that variety. Really excited to see what both these teams are doing. Their coaches wanted innovation. It surely seems that we have a little bit of that today.
Federico Quo, the Rugby Belgium Brussels Devils leader on their side of the equation, so they were pretty pumped, and just to allow a lot of these young Belgian players to get an opportunity in this new competition, to have a chance to go and compete for a trophy and get some experience in doing so. I think that's probably so important, especially when they're trying to develop talent for the national team as well. Godsmark will send it into the scrum. Whistle there in the midst of the scrum, and that'll be a penalty. The hand goes up.
Great shift by the Delta into the scrum there. They've been a little bit dominant earlier on in the first half. They've earned that right there from the repeated pressures they put on the Devils scrum. The front row inching their way forward, forcing the Brussels to pop up, lose their bind. You can't do that. Stay straight, stay hard.
So Rademacher looking to get deep into Brussels territory inside the 22. Let's see how far the official walks up, and they'll get a line out from there.
Really like this from the Delta. They had that penalty in front of the post. That's an easily kickable 3 points. Instead, they opt for the corner. This team is here to play. It shows that these young players, they have something to prove. They really want to make a mark on this game and execute it, turn that pressure into points. It's early on the match. They know that they can do it. I'm excited to see what they can pull out here.
Yeah, I really thought they might go for the points there, Ali. Instead, getting deeper into the 22, and you see the push, the ensuing push at that.
It's inching forward. That inch worming down at the back there. Long, and they've earned their penalty here.
Playing to the advantage, and now the whistle blows after that, and a quick restart from Delta, but the official will stop things right there. Looked like that was DeVries, who we just saw, of course, getting attended to via injury, but he was the one making the push behind the big legs of Delta and those forwards. So like after the penalty, Delta taking line out, appears. Just a few feet away.
Hendricks on the previous maul there, just creeping in from the side, not entering correctly into that maul. That Delta maul was strong and powerful. It looks like they're going for it again, inching forwards, inching towards the line, shifting through. That ball looks to be over.
And there is the whistle, and there is the try, hoisted high into the air. Ross Benny Colson. Delta gets another 5, 15-8. Opportunity at a couple more. See the celebrations for Team Delta. And really, you could see the physicality. It seems like they have been the stronger, faster team so far.
It's two different styles of play we're seeing, I think. The Delta, they're looking for that speed. They're looking for that pace out wide. They're not afraid to shift it into the midfield, let the forwards go to work. They're trying to push the momentum, push the pace forward. The Devils on the other side. It looks like they're going from set piece to set piece. They're comfortable slowing that game down and making sure they can try and execute through the midfield. It's two different styles. I think there's credit to both. It just means that the Devils, they need to execute a little bit more. Simple mistakes, knock-ons, forward passes that are costing them the opportunities when they get into the other half.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. That's exactly what it's felt like so far. The tactics of each squad seem to be trying to play to their strengths. The 2 is good for Benny Colson. 17-8 Delta with less than 5 minutes remaining here in this first half. And we saw Brussels get their try and their 8 points and their 5 points. Their kick as well, all coming sort of via outmaneuvering their opponent. And like you said, Delta choosing to get out and run a little bit more and use some of their strengths. Positioning ever so important in this sport. That kick sent straight up back into the air. Didn't really give Delta much of an advantage. And a whistle there as the ball was on the turf. Appears we'll have an ensuing scrum.
The high kick, the relieving box kick, an opportunity for Delta to compete in the air, contest that high ball. It's a strategy teams around the world are implementing. It's working well for South Africa. It's working well for the Lions. They're putting that ball high. Their wingers are chasing. That kick needed to be about 10 meters down the field to make sure that we can get a little bit of that pressure off. We see this turnover now. We're just outside the 22. The Devils going to try and put that pressure back onto the Delta here.
Last few minutes before the half here, Ali, how important is this time?
This is the crucial point in the game. The 5 minutes before this half, it's the Brussels Devils. They have the opportunity here to try and build back some of the momentum I think the Delta have taken in this first half. It's really important that they come into the halftime sheds with a little bit of confidence. They know that they can back themselves on certain points. Unfortunately, it's just not to be so.
Yeah, you saw the Delta side asking for a whistle to stop play. Two minutes to go here. Not sure. It looks like Hendricks in that second row alongside his lock, Frederic de Smet, getting ready and set to go here. This will be sent in by Godsmark. You see Delta getting that push again. It feels like physically they have had the advantage today.
While dominant here, it does seem that they infringed on the laws. Driving inwards, that's hinging from the props there. You cannot bore inwards and cause the opponent to lose their ability to compete there. does seem like the prop from the Devil side went down early, so it's a little interested to see what the ref has to say about that.
Yeah, I saw that too, and I looked like the penalty went against Delta there, but possibly that Delta infringed before the Devils did in that situation. And once again, we'll pause for a brief injury. The first, of course, almost 40 minutes in the books here, and as part of the match, you start to see some of those things start to crop up a little bit. Those knocks start to hurt a little bit more, Ali, as time goes on.
You know, I think this is their first match. I think they're still going to be fresh even after 40 minutes of hard rugby. All the players looking to make their mark on this team. I'd be surprised if we've seen anybody, wincing as they come off the field. It's definitely something it's definitely something where they want to keep that energy high, especially in this first game.
Frederick Kokwo, the Brussels Devils head coach, had said that, one of the big reasons for this, of course, this Rugby Europe Super Cup was they'll bridge that gap, as you've seen and we've talked about. And he talked about the difference in France between the top 14, the Pro D2, and national championships. There's just such a big gap there. And overcoming it, this is a big part of that, and helping to develop and bridge that gap and get players to the national level and take them from the club to the next level. And I think we're seeing that here today, and some of these growing pains, but also some of these great plays we've seen so far in this 17-8 match. Few seconds to go in this half.
Spot on about the development. You know, it's not only going to raise the level of the national teams, but for the players themselves, the opportunity to have a full-time professional training environment, compete year-round at the highest level that they can. They're going to have professional opportunities outside of their home nations. The D2, the Pro 14, the Champions Cup, they're going to be looking at these players for the future. These are young players trying to improve and trying to grow. I think it's going to pull upwards. Years from now, we're going to see this competition be a feeder into these other leagues. We're going to see these nations really start to grow and develop and start competing at a higher level. Nations like Georgia. There's a lot of talk at the moment about Georgia and the international stage. Can they compete against the likes of Italy, France, England, Ireland? Are they willing? Are they about to make a move into the Six Nations? I think competitions like this, giving those players the opportunity to play year round, they're really going to have a chance to try and develop and push at the higher levels.
Yeah, really helping the depth of Europe as a whole, like you said, outside the Six Nations, and help get everybody more up to speed when it comes to that. As the referee hasn't decided to halt play just yet, there is a kick into touch, as they will award as well this line out to Delta following that kick. Benny Colson to send it in.
Out straight.
Yeah, caught by Zerdune, but that throw was pretty much right at him and not right down the line. So let's see what Brussels decides to do after that. And looks like a scrum is their decision. You can see that throw. Good angle of it there by our camera crew.
A little unsteady at the start. We'll see if the Devils need a really good platform here to execute a set play. They've got one chance in the end of this first half to earn some more points and go into the sheds with a little bit of confidence that they need.
They've been able to maneuver after the set pieces, Brussels. That's when they've been most successful in sort of tactically making their way into Delta territory, as Delta has been more the physical team that's let things flow a little bit more.
It's a great platform here. As that ball comes out, let's see if we have some momentum.
Brussels were building, but that punched away. It looked like Tay Campbell got his hand on it.
Not forward in the tackle, it seems like. Referee should be blowing that up for halftime, and we do.
There you go. Good call, Ollie, as we have reached the half here at Amersfoort. A 17-8 lead for the Delta Rugby Club, leading the Brussels Devils here at the Rugby Europe Super Cup. Halftime is upon us. We will take a break. The players will as well. Then, of course, we'll get you back out here for the second half and the final 40 minutes from the Netherlands. It's the dawn of a new era in rugby European competition. The day starting off, the competition starting off, the era starting off with Delta Rugby Club leading the Brussels Devils 17-8 after the first 40 minutes as we begin the next 40 right here. Ollie, what do you expect to start here in the second half after Delta, in some facets were pretty dominant, but also Brussels they kept on keeping on, if you will. They made things difficult for Delta in that first half.
Absolutely. It's an exciting first 40 minutes of rugby, and I cannot wait to see what they bring next. The variety, the dynamic movements, these guys are here to play. This second 40 is going to be a mixture of trying to balance their excitement with building those phases. Let's get the momentum back under our belt. The Brussels Devils, they are still in it with all to play for. They know what they need to do. Let's inch up the field. Let's build the momentum. They're going to earn themselves a few rewards, I guarantee, in the second half.
This the first of two matches here today in the Rugby Europe Super Cup. The second one will come on in about an hour and a half from now as Castilla y León Iberians will take on the Lusitanos. The Lusitanos from Portugal, the Iberians from Spain. So that should be a good match once again here in the third match of the weekend tomorrow between NSI CSM and the Lokomotiv Penza. Those are the Russian teams. They are out of the Eastern Conference. This is a Western Conference battle. Both games are today. The other two teams, Tel Aviv and Georgia, they will play their round one match in October of pool play. Group stages, the 8 teams divided into 2 groups, 6 matches in each group, 3 home, 3 away. Starting off here today, this groundbreaking moment for Rugby Europe and in part with World Rugby as well, creating this competition. And so far, we've had an exciting match. I believe this should get tight as time goes on. You can see here, Brussels deep into Delta territory here, close to the 22. The turnover, though, and Delta back the other way.
The counterattack is so dynamic, so dangerous. You go from pressure in the other half and flick out the back. It's absolutely fantastic to see in the corner, the speed, the excellence, the execution from the Delta earn them that 100-meter try down into the sideline there.
What a fantastic run there by the Delta Rugby Club. What a fantastic start to this second half. Dan van der Avoord was the one who made the initial run and then passing it off for the try, 22-8.
One mistake by the Devils in the 22. They were almost under the sticks. One mistake, one error from the knock-on, and that counterattack, the Delta, execution, that flick out the back, make the meters down the field, the flick out the back, and my goodness, a beautiful try, well-earned, 100 meters up the field. Couldn't ask for a better start to the second half.
And Tay Campbell running along with van der Avoord the whole way, and he was there, Johnny on the spot, ready to go in for the try. And Delta quickly on the board here in the second half, and they'll get a conversion to try for 2 more once this injury here on the Brussels side is all mended up. See on our left side of our screen, Amir Rodmacher. This is another tough angle. The line was crossed there. Rodmacher trying to curl it around, and that kick is wide right. So score remains 22-8. Just passing in front of that right upright. Vander Avord, as you saw him making that run, a national champion with the Rugby Club Dioc. Made his Netherlands national team debut 2019 against Lithuania. And Campbell, of course, getting the try, has represented New Zealand at some youth levels as well. Came up to the Tasman rugby program in New Zealand and now playing here with the Dutch.
Absolutely love this from the Delta. They're not afraid to look for the offloads. They're not afraid to try and do something creative. You know, that one didn't go off for them, but they went down that short side, 3-on-2, flick around the back, try and get the double offloads. If they had executed, they might be down the field for another 70 meters. Fantastic variety. I love it.
So Brussels will look once again to settle in. And we talked about their style so much in the first half, Ollie, of sort of, you know, I guess wearing away at Delta and working through some of the set pieces. But, I mean, you're down 22-8. You've got to start scoring a little quicker here as time goes on. We get deeper into the second half.
They absolutely do. I think we're going to see a little bit of creativity come in here. So that change of direction off the base of the ruck, not afraid to mix it up, test the Delta. I think they're going to see a little bit of creativity, and I'm excited to see what happens. Speed at the breakdown is going to be...
Go on, Ollie. Yes.
Speed at the breakdown is going to be in their favor right now. They want to play fast. They want to pick up that tempo. Don't give the Delta the opportunity to get themselves set and rush off that line, put pressure on the attack. They want to go fast. They want to start picking up that pace.
Yeah, Brussels scoring their try in the first half via a kick deep into the 22 of Delta, and they were able to convert from there on sort of an unsettled situation. And like you've said, Ollie, if they can execute it without a mistake, it feels like Brussels can definitely dig themselves back out of this hole.
They surely can. You know, the game is not run out. 7 points, 2 7-point tries, and they're back into it. So, you know, just making sure that they can get that ball in hand, keep that ball in hand, start building momentum. They're going to win back some territory. They're going to win back some meters up the field, and I know that they can inch their way back into this match.
Here's the scrum. Florent Lenotz, the scrum half for Delta will send it in.
Thank you.
I would like to commend the referee today. He's done a great job being clear and consistent with his communication and officiating. You know, these players need that from the refs. They need to know what they're doing, what their calls are. And like I would say, he's been fantastic on the playing field.
Pieter Schoenrod will send it in, but that one doesn't get into the scrum. Picked up quickly there by the other scrum half, Ryan Gottsmark. Here the referee just say there, we need to repeat.
Crouch. Ball.
Schoenrod sends it in once again. Let's see what they do with it. Taken by Campbell. And fumbled away, and Lorenzi Stott tries to go and recover it now. Going up that blind side is Delta on the right side, trying to establish there. And
a little bit of scuffles and handbags in the backfield here. Going off the ball. It's just a bit of push and shove, nothing more.
Haven't had too many extracurriculars thus far between these two. Bit of a derby, you know, neighboring countries here today in the Netherlands and in Belgium.
Both teams' players should be quite familiar with the other team, having competed regularly, and the Netherlands earning the edge over Belgium recently, earning their way back into the competition in May.
Yeah, that was a match that was postponed twice. A 23-21 victory for the Netherlands back in May to reach the Rugby Europe Championship competition. And then that Rugby Europe playoff match, David Wiersma had a kick with 4 minutes to go for the Netherlands. I mean, talk about as close as it gets. And like you said, Ali, you can feel that sort of carry over to today and the competitiveness between these two sides. Brief pause for an injury there. Clock stopped at 48:56 for that one. And now we'll start again here. Far side, right side of the field.
Just on halfway, this is a great point. We've seen the Delta work their way up the field from here, strike from anywhere. That's what their head coach, Ali Jonkers, wants to see, that they can strike from anywhere and play an attractive brand of rugby. It's a really exciting type of the game. They've been able to kick over the top, move it wide, hit the middle. The variety and the dynamic movements in their game is fantastic.
Yeah, and a big reason for that, I mean, is trying to get people to want to come play. And this is definitely why. Streaking ahead is Campbell. Dumps it off to Van der Voort. The combination just the opposite this time. Delta in for another try.
Campbell has been stellar on the field today. He's exciting. He shifts that ball. He draws 3 or 4 defenders before making and looking for that opportunity to get that into space. Easy try through the middle of the pack here. Fantastic. Campbell, a player to watch on the field. It's very, very well executed.
Second try of the day for Van der Voort, and you saw Campbell was the one who created it. Just the opposite of a few minutes ago when it was Van der Voort dumping off to Campbell.
It starts here. They shift that ball, miss pass out the back. Campbell, 3 or 4 hard steps, beating 2 defenders, drawing the fullback up before getting that ball to the width. Van der Voort, the easy yards to finish, diving over, but Campbell, an exciting midfield player, able to create that space for others around him.
And Delta now taking that 27-8 lead with a couple of unanswered tries here in this second half of play. As Schoonrod will now try and add a couple more to the ledger. 50 minutes in. And there is the kick. Up, off the upright, and out. Iron unkind, if you will, but that's okay. Delta with a 19-point advantage here in the second half. And you called that correctly, Ali. I mean, you said anywhere, anytime, and moments after that, I mean, Delta comes down and gets the try, streaking across the field. That was spot-on analysis, if you will.
It's exactly the type of rugby that they want to play. They want to be dynamic. They want to test the defense. A set piece on the halfway line. That's a great attacking platform. I think with the likes of Campbell, who grew up in New Zealand with Tasman program, he's electric. He knows where and how to create that space by drawing the defenders. Simple plays like that. You saw it early in the first half where he set up the try just with the quick hands. It comes first by making sure you commit the defenders. He's taking that ball to the line. He's looking for the space himself, which is causing the defenders to come towards him. And then he's just making that simple. He's executing the simple stuff well. Nothing more. Young players take note. He's one to watch on the field.
And Ali, it's the reason this competition exists, but also, the cream rises to the top, at the end of the day. When it comes to a different group of players sort of coming together, a different competition. But when it all comes down to it, the players that are sticking out are the cream of the crop. And we're seeing that with Campbell really today. He's been a guy, you sort of circle on your roster, heading into the match, not only today, but now moving forward. He's going to be a guy to watch throughout this competition. Pira sends that in, and the line out for Brussels. We're trying to gain some momentum here as they lose it in the middle. The turnover back to Delta once again. Tom Van Loon in the middle.
The rust is creeping into the fingertips of the Devils. They still cannot get 3 or 4 phases without a mistake. They've got to shake that, clear off the rust, build the phases. It's important they got that. They got to keep that ball in hand. Too many simple errors are costing them greatly in this match.
Maxou Zardoun taken down in the middle. Delta able to keep the possession here. Taken down is Van Loon again. Now out to that open side. It's kicked through. Delta just trying to get some field position, but now coming out with the Devils. See how much ground they can gain. Definitely a whistle there. It wasn't a release of a tackle or of the rugby ball.
A knock on by the Devils again. They've earned themselves into a great position down the field. There's no need. If you can't make that pass, don't. They need to get that. They need to keep that possession in hand. We're seeing it here. Simple errors, ball not to hand, knock-ons, forward passes. It's costing them.
Yeah, just trying to do a little too much there on that wide side, that far side of the pitch. And now it'll be a scrum awarded to Delta. Schoonrod sends it in. Retrieves. Back out in the open is Delta. You better watch out because here they come again. Kicked forward on the left side. And can Ender Avord going to get it? He can, and he gets in.
An absolutely beautiful play again off the scrum. That one-handed offload into the hands of Campbell. Simple and dynamic. That kick ahead, it's beautiful. He's looking for the space. They're connecting. They're communicating. This team is exciting. They're going to be dancing in the streets tonight. They're so ready.
Another outstanding play. You sort of hold your breath when you see Delta out here with open space. Just the speed by Campbell. And then
change of direction.
Aboard. Yes, Ali, yes.
The change of the direction off that left foot to draw 2 defenders, break that tackle through the shoulders, get that ball into the hands of Campbell, who just accelerates onto it. The defenders are rushing towards him. All he has to do there, he looked to the corner. Sadly, it looks like the ball is just in a touch before we were able to dive over the try line.
He did see Van der Voort coming up shaking his head. Man, I thought he was in. It looked like he had gotten over.
Just scraped the try line, just scraped the touch line on his way over.
An exciting play nonetheless. This is deep inside their own territory for Brussels to even have this line out. Let's see how play ensues and if they can dig themselves out of this hole. And Brussels just kicking. Felt that coming, but caught by Van der Voort on the fly. Campbell in the middle. Schoonrod looking to set some things up. Taken away by the Devils, who do a good job. They're deep in their own territory. But like we've seen with Delta, I mean, they're lightning quick. Striking at any moment. Looks like that kick went into touch. Flag is up.
Another look here at that incredible break, that drawing the 2 defenders. One-handed tip over the top. They're connecting on the sideline here. Just scraping the touchline as he goes over to dot that ball down. I question, it looked like he might have put that ball down before his feet dragged in the touch. Love to see another look at that.
And it's just to see the speed there from Campbell. And he had so much space that you could see he had just the one hand on the ball, and it looked like he was just weighing his options and trying to see exactly what he needed to do to make sure that Van der Voort was able to get that ball in the right spot. And he had the time. He had so much speed, he had time at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
He absolutely did. With a player like that, the time is slowed around you. He's looking up. He's not just focused about what's in front, but he's looking at where the space is for his teammates. I think he's been the one that set up other players. He's creating the opportunities on the field.
Delta gains possession after that line out. Down there is Schoonrod.
The Delta are capitalizing well on the errors from the Brussels team. The knock-ons are creating the counter-attack opportunities. Delta, they're going from improvement to improvement. Set pieces are working well for them. Momentum is building for them. The Devils, on the other hand, compounding mistakes is not helping. That's what you want to avoid. One mistake, you can pick yourself up. 2 or 3 in a row, you find yourself back in your 22. The pressure is on, and it's hard to sustain a good defensive wall or build back any momentum when you're constantly under pressure.
We've got a little more than 20 minutes to go, and I mean, they certainly dodged a bullet in that last almost try by Dan Van der Voort, as it would have been at the very least 32-8 at that point. 27-8 can be managed. They just have to now, like you said, Ollie, get some momentum here and start to get a couple quick scores, though they haven't shown that ability just yet, unlike Delta, who seems like they can score at any time. If Delta was trailing, I'd say, oh, well, they can certainly have an opportunity here, but in the other case, Brussels hasn't shown that explosiveness. Line out for Delta. Kevin Abing throws it in. They say that was a good throw. The Devils come out with it. Back into Delta territory they go.
Space is there, and the offload is great. He's through the hole.
Almost a hesitation there.
A slow breakdown, giving the Delta the opportunity to get back on side, get their attack, their defensive wall together. This is where the Devil needs to pick up the pace. Start to move that. You want to stay controlled, but you still want to be able to pick up that pace. Less than 3 seconds at each breakdown here. You can't let the Delta have the opportunity to get themselves in a good defensive position. Like we saw here, again, another mistake comes in from the Devils. They're in their good position. They're slowly bringing that momentum and then off their feet. One silly mistake is too many.
And Hendricks, the captain, getting a talking to here from Inigo Torres-Agasti. Yeah, and Ollie, you make a great point there in terms of just following the breakdown. It feels like the Devils have certainly taken their time in trying to set themselves up, while at the same time, Delta is recovering and been able to sort of attack more and get themselves in better position, and just in case anything happens. So you're right. It seems like every single time there's a breakdown, Brussels is taking at least 5 seconds.
Exactly. It's a little bit too long for them. It's not doing them any favors because the Delta, their defensive wall has been quite solid, well connected, applying that pressure. A few breaks on the outside, but they're not getting those inside breaks. That nice little offload from the Devils actually created that opportunity to get those meters up the field. Simple mistakes, simple things done well is the key to success in this match.
A brief stoppage of time here for an injury. Just 2 seconds short of an hour into this Rugby Europe Super Cup match. 27-8, Delta with the advantage here so far. A couple tries from Dan Van der Voort. Campbell has one. Sialau has one. Benny Coulson as well for the Delta side. And it'll be Delta with the line out. Abing once again, the 24-year-old. Molecamp was tackled there, and now the turnover by Delta in their own territory here. Opportunity maybe for the Devils.
This is a really crucial time for the Devils here. You know, an opportunity they really can't afford to miss to build back the momentum. 20 minutes left in the half. A few tries down. They really needed that. They really needed to execute there. Unfortunately, it's not going their way.
There's a penalty called. I think they're going to opt to kick here.
It looks like they're going to go to the corner and try and set that driving maul. It's worked for them in the past. They've earned the first try off that maul in the corner there. Another opportunity to try and execute and get some points on the board. You can hear the Delta defensive captain leading them up. We fire on 10. They're ready to fly off that line and apply some pressure. They know what's coming. They've got to come up here.
Key line out here for the Devils, trailing 27-8. Important throw. Just able to grab it. There's the ensuing maul. The Devils come out with it. Closer to the try line, picked up. The wait after the breakdown. Into the middle they go. The push, the strong push at that. And there you go. The Devils in for the try.
It looks like it may have been.
Oh, wait, whistle there. I did not see that until the last moment. Ollie, the try not good enough.
Stripped away right at the last moment as the driving Rhino went over the try line. It seems like he pulled that ball away. Again, that last little effort. They need to make sure they execute. It's just falling away from their fingertips.
Yeah, this is the set. I mean, early in the match we saw them get right up there, inches away, and here once again, unable to get the ball inside the try line.
The chip ahead, the pressure on. Mark called just as he caught that ball in the 22. Good decision making from the fullback there. Campbell again. Ball kept in play, so the Devils have the opportunity to counterattack. Take that ball above the halfway line and see if they can put something together. Out to the outside he goes. Flicked up just before he foot touched the touchline. And the Devils have some momentum. Let's see what they can do with it.
Executing a little bit better here, probably knowing they have to. Sometimes you don't have a choice.
The change of direction, just drawing in those defenders. It looks like they're still able to keep that ball moving fast. This is good from the Devils.
One of their best sequences of the match thus far. 63 minutes in. Alongside Ollie Engelhart, Tom Eschen here with you on the call. Delta and Brussels going at it here
a long
in
ball
Eversport.
Over the top here.
You're watching the Rugby Europe Super Cup. The debut match. Delta a 27-8 lead. They left 17-8 at the half. And started off this second half hot. Haven't looked back, 10 unanswered. Brussels looking to have an answer of their own here.
Dominant carries are helping the Devils right now. After the contact point, they're making meters. This is really good. A nice little variation chip over the chase. And we have it. Our first try for the Devils in the second half as they dive in over the try line. Fantastic.
What a chip. Hugo Ruel able to gather the kick and score. The 23-year-old puts 5 on the board.
The Belgium national representative and the Rugby Sevens player as well, a dynamic and exciting play. That chip over the top, a fantastically well-received and scoring, diving right over the try line for a score. That came from the building momentum, the patience. 3 or 4 phases, down through touchline to touchline. They earned that. No mistakes, and it was well executed. I was just saying before, they're making meters after contact. The forwards doing the hard yards in the midfield. They drive that ball forward. After the tackle was made, they're still inching forward. They're still making another meter and a half. And that's important because it's causing the defensive line to have to step backwards. The defense is having to check themselves and check that momentum. That's giving the Devils the opportunity to shift that ball into places where they see the space. And just like we had here, that chip over the top, the space is there, and that execution is exactly what we want to see. The Devils are still in this if they can continue to execute on that level as they just did.
The positioning on that kick, the placement, it was absolutely perfect right into the breadbasket there of Ruel Ali. Amazing.
It absolutely was. Again, I think this team, their variety and their execution, if they can get it right, it's really exciting stuff. This just means that they have to keep on going, dust the rust off the fingertips, settle into the second half, try and keep the momentum building. 66 minutes in, this Devils team has all to play for.
Kind of amazing. I mean, we started the match with 2 straight tries from Delta, and then, of course, we saw the Brussels Devils have a try of their own, and that's how the second half began as well, with 2 straight tries for Delta, and then Brussels having one of their own. And Brussels trying to turn that pattern here on its head with less than 15 minutes to play. Final quarter of this one. The line out, throwing for Delta here.
Stolen by the Devils. Well, a really essential steal here.
Get this opportunity out of the breakdown. Tackle there by Van Loon.
The Delta defensive line just checking themselves, not coming up with as much intensity and pressure as they have been earlier in the first half. I wonder if the variety, kicking over the top, the change of direction, the spreading that ball wide, it's really causing the Delta to have to watch themselves. If they shoot up too quickly as they were earlier, that space creates itself. Here we have just a little mistake, but again, ball to hand, and he might have been through the midfield.
It does feel as if the Brussels Devils have sort of captured some momentum here. And it sort of dovetailed off of that moment in which we thought we saw Van der Voort score once again the try, and only to be called out into touch. And the Brussels Devils able to get themselves out of that situation. And since then, they've sort of have had control of this one. Basil Pipat comes off. Scrum here for the for Delta. It'll be Schoonrod. The scrum half will send it in.
Only 8 minutes to play. You got to be thinking that the Brussels Devils are thinking that they should have turned up as they had in the second half of this second half earlier in the match. They've been on top of it. A few good phases, a few phases of building momentum, and they found themselves in really good parts of territory, earning a try. Just wish that they'd done that earlier in the first or second half.
Hard to believe there's only 8 minutes to go. At least time flies when you're having fun, right? In rugby.
We almost capped off the first game of a new and exciting era in the Super Cup.
Good thing we got another one coming up here. Just about a little less than an hour from right now. Game 2 of today's doubleheader, if you will. Castilla y León y Berrions will take on Lusitanos. See if Belgium can make this interesting. They get a try here within the next couple minutes. and capitalize off of some of this momentum. Still patient after the breakdown. Tackle made, and they go to that open side. Trying to build on the left.
Devils with the advantage, and they look for the kick again. It's worked for them in the past.
It looked like there was a big collision there. Van der Voort going in to field that kick, I believe.
As you mentioned, player safety is paramount. It looks like the Devils players just touched Van der Voort as he was trying to receive that ball in the air. You're not allowed to have contact with any player going for the ball in the air. Could be potentially a little bit more than just a penalty.
Have not seen any cards come out today. This a few moments ago, and hopefully we get a look at this kick and see and make sure Van der Voort is, here we go.
As you see, he's gone up for that ball in the air. His feet have left the ground. The moment that happens, the player safety is the key. You are not allowed to touch that player in the air unless you are actively competing for that ball as well. It's an interesting one. It's an interesting one. Brussels Devils had the penalty advantage, so that kick was a really good option. Now we're looking at potentially foul play, endangering the player's safety. That might supersede any of the previous penalty opportunities they had.
So they bring in a few players in the middle as our referee, Inigo Atora Sagasti, will discuss the circumstances surrounding such events. And I think they said they saw Van der Voort get hit sort of there in the side. I think that was a good gesture because that looked like that's where he was. And there will be a yellow card issued with that.
Referee just explaining his decision-making there. The Brussels Devils did have the penalty advantage in the midfield. They took that opportunity to go for the kick. Because it was a dangerous tackle that put the player in harm's way, the tackle in the air, it supersedes the previous penalty, and the player was sent. The Devils player received a yellow card for endangering the player's safety there. You know, paramount that we take care of our players and making sure that we follow to the letter of the law what it is that we're doing to keep the players on the field safe at all points in time.
Looks like that was Toon de Kooning who will be issued that yellow card. Of course, just a few moments left here in this match, so that, of course, all too important. He has to sit there for 10 minutes now. Here's Sialu. Falls for a moment. And he got back up, as I believe that wasn't called originally a tackle, but I think they then said it was.
A double movement there. Once you've been taking the ground, you have to make one effort to release that ball. Unfortunately, you just try to get up, do a little bit too much. Devils get the relieving penalty.
I think he tried to play it off like he wasn't touched, right? I think that's kind of what he was trying to do, maybe.
A few little tactics you can bring into the game. You know, you can once you get to the ground, you can release the ball and try and get it up and play again. It's a sevens. A lot of these players are sevens players who might have been trained to do so. Just there, he just needs to touch the ground in a tackle that was completed, in which case you have to release that ball. You have to make one effort to get that ball back. These guys are, you know, they're almost double the score line. You don't need to do too much. Just keep the pressure on, and I'm sure the Delta can try and earn some points.
And an error there with the line out. Errant throw means the possession goes back over to Delta. They will choose to scrum. Less than 5 minutes to play here. 27-13. The team from the Netherlands leading the Belgians from Brussels. Sent in by Schoonrod. Kicked back and sent in there by Molenkamp. Ball taken out of the air.
Game again.
What a catch there. Mid-stride by Boston.
offloads have been an asset for the Delta, but just here going a little bit astray, giving the opportunity for the Devils to have that counterattack. You know, I like that they're going for it. You know, they're up the points. They can have a little bit of fun. It's really good to see the players looking for those opportunities to get that ball out of the contact, shift the ball, and exploit the space. That's a really hard thing to defend when a player is hissing onto the ball and you get that ball away in an offload. It's a fantastic and dynamic effect on the game.
They've seemed to work together very well today, Delta. And like we've said, these teams haven't had a whole lot of time. I mean, they've had some, but not a ton to get to know each other, but they seem to have some cohesiveness, and that should bode well for their future.
It seems like the Delta are well connected. It must be from, I think the previous season with the Netherlands, the young players are working together. They have the opportunity here. The connections have been have been very well arranged.
A lot of energy surrounding, of course, that win, and of course, of getting into the Rugby Europe Championship competition as a country here last May, and I think that also you can see that sort of trickle down to the rest of the clubs and the players, and knowing, the standards are a little higher now.
2 minutes left on the clock, and the Brussels Devils look to have the last say to try and earn some points before the final whistle.
Yeah, like we said, this is match 1, and there's 6 rounds here in the Rugby Europe Super Cup, so we'll take some time to figure things out. The next round will take place next weekend, which everybody will be back in play once again. Here, at least in the Western Conference side of things.
That ball knocked forward in the maul there, just slipping out of the hands and going to the deck. That good defensive effort from the Delta on the last few minutes on their try line. Relentless in their pursuit of not giving up any few meters, even in the last minute of the game.
Less than a minute to play here. A scrum for the Delta Rugby Club. Schoonrod taking over those duties for Radmacher here in the second half of play. And Delta will look to run this out. See how low tackle, then probably a better idea to kick and get a little bit away from their own 22. So it does give the Devils an opportunity. Time waning on the clock. Ruel tried to offload before he went down. As the referee will decide when we're all set here. After some couple injury pauses and whatnot in that over the course of this half. And there you do have some bumps and bruises that have accrued over the course of today's 80 minutes. Don't forget there's another game coming up here at the top of the hour. Just about 45 minutes from now, we'll see the team from Spain, Castilla y León Iberians, taking on Lusitanos from Portugal. So make sure also to tune in for that as part of this Rugby Europe Super Cup opening day. 2 matches today, 1 tomorrow. Tomorrow will feature the couple of Russian squads on the Eastern Conference side of things. So make sure you tune in for that, as these squads, these players, these countries all getting their feet wet here in this Super Cup, brand new competition. Thrilled to be able to bring that to you here today and for the next coming weeks and months. As we said at the top of our broadcast, 2 rounds here in September, another 2 in October. December will also feature a couple of weekends of action, and then by then we'll know who our semifinalists are, and they'll compete in April. 8 countries competing for the Rugby Europe Super Cup, trying to bring a trophy home. All starting here today in the Netherlands. Schoonrod for the scrum. Pitched out by Molenkamp, the prop. Kicked back into Devils territory. They try to advance as well. And another whistle as we saw Delta leading 17-8 at the half, score another 10 quickly here to start the second, and have sort of gone along ever since. Brussels able to get 5 more points via try after that first initial surge, and felt like they were getting some momentum, but Delta just too explosive today, Ollie. And I think that's really what we saw out of them. We didn't see the same explosiveness from Brussels, really, but Delta moving quickly as the game went on.
Absolutely. Delta really settled themselves into this match by picking up the pace. They kept those breakdowns fast. They kept making the meters in the midfield, and then the explosiveness. Players like Campbell, players like Dornbell, players like Van der Void, they're just exploring that space. The changes in direction, keeping the momentum building. They were dynamic, looking for the offloads, the variety of the game with the kicks. It was a very exciting match for the Delta here, and I'm really excited to see how this young team continues to get to know one another. You already saw it with their connecting well with the offloads. They're connecting and communicating extremely well throughout the day. It's only going to start to improve as we go through this competition.
I'm looking forward now, the fact that, Ollie, we'll get to see, today and tomorrow, where some of these teams will stack up, the course of this tournament, and where, a team like Delta will fit in the grand scheme of things. Will they be a front runner? I think we've got a lot of good competition on both sides of things. I think we're looking forward to expect to see, Georgia. They're another team that has some, pretty strong players on their side of things, and thought maybe this be a little more evenly matched today, but I do think Brussels competed. So they'll be a tough out for anybody.
The Devils still with a little bit of fight, trying to work their way back up the field from a straight kick. Unfortunately, that beautiful intercept from Van der Void on the Delta, earning is that his second or his third tonight?
Third. That's his third. Could be his fourth, Ollie, of the day, if that one had counted that he just got into touch towards the end. But the interception from Van der Void, his third try today. That one, salt in the wound of the Brussels Devils, as it Van der Void puts the cherry on top, if you will.
A fantastic seal to a great game. The opening match of the Super Cup. Van der Void, 3 tries, finding the space on the outside, getting over the try line, and earning those points for the Delta today. Excellent stuff.
You can see he just sort of even baited it a bit. He was waiting for it, and he knew when to strike.
Well read.
So he entered there almost at center, and that's where he touched down. Schoonrod looking for his first conversion today. Easy does it. Flag goes up, adding on the 2 points. 34-13. Delta now just trying to salt this one away. Looks like they will improve to 1-0. Make sure to stay with us after the match, as we will have a couple of conversations with a couple of the players on the pitch here today. And see how they felt playing in this Rugby Europe Super Cup. I would love to hear, their emotions and their feelings after making their debut in this here today. It's going to be a happy Delta club. That's always a good start and a good finish at that. The Delta Rugby Club victorious in the opener of the Rugby Europe Super Cup, 34-13, the final over the Brussels Devils. And all in all, a top-to-bottom effort by the Delta Rugby Club today, Ollie.
An absolutely fantastic effort by both teams opening this competition. The Delta, their momentum, their pace, their dynamic, their versatility in the play. It's exactly what head coach wanted to see. They can attack from anywhere. They can score from anywhere. You cannot let up. A great defensive effort from the Delta as well. You can't forget they kept this team out when they were in their own 22 on the try line. The defensive and resiliency is there. This Delta team, I'm excited to see how they build. Brussels Devils, they'll go home, they'll look at the film, they'll find out what they need to improve on, building that momentum, shaking off the rust, and keeping that ball in hand. They've still got it in them. We saw it in the second half where they're picking up the pace, that they can find the space. It's just executing under pressure and making sure that they can prevent sloppy errors coming into their game.
Yeah, we saw two at times in which Brussels was on the doorstep and they were unable to get the try and get the points which they desperately needed. So it feels like, yes, they are close to being able to execute. They just have to get rid of some of those mistakes, and I think they will be, a difficult try for anybody, in the ensuing rounds as time goes on. These two will play again next weekend, so we'll be able to see them play once again and see what exactly is fixed on both sides of the equation.
Absolutely. It's going to be a really interesting competition. Watching these teams grow over the next few weeks. They have the opportunity now to compete against themselves once more and then look ahead. What teams are on the horizon? How can they adapt? How can they build on the game that they've set now? This is the benchmark. Both teams are going to look to build on this performance and improve week after week as they go ahead.